South Carolina going to Tennessee. Tennessee, a 12.5-point favorite, 7:30 Eastern on the SEC Network. We talked about it in the opening for this live show. Tennessee's had this one circled. They've had it circled. They remember what happened last year in Columbia. They remember Spencer Rattler going into road to glory mode and just dashing their college football playoff hopes, and how electric that atmosphere had to have been if you're a South Carolina fan. They've had this one circled. You talk to everybody in the Tennessee fan base, and they're like, hey, man, when the schedule came out, this one was highlighted. This one was starred. Asterisks all over it. Like Josh Heupel and company, they want this one. All right? They want this one. So they're going to have a chance to go get it now at the crib at night. Expect it to be absolutely wild environment in Neyland Stadium. Make sure you subscribe right here. College football, only college football, nothing else. We love this game. You love this game. Tennessee fans, South Carolina fans, y'all are all about this game. So if you have not yet subscribed, we would love to have you a part of this. We appreciate you in advance. Also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at JD Piquel. So thank you in advance for that. South Carolina now, this kind of win would kind of get you rolling, right? Like the game against North Carolina, you still have concerns about your offensive line even from that game, but your offense looked good at times, and you turned Drake May over a couple of times. But that win against Mississippi State last week, I thought looked like a new South Carolina football team. Now, you got issues in the secondary. We'll talk about that. But we saw a run game show up for South Carolina. We saw a run-stopping defense show up for South Carolina. So does that continue in this game? We'll see. But this is the kind of game that I think could really give them kind of a shot of adrenaline and kind of re-energize their season in a sense. Not to say that they're down and out by any stretch of the imagination, but for South Carolina, how differently would you view your football team and where you can go in 2023 if you win this one in Neyland at night? Now, how do you do it? I think a big part of this is going to be the South Carolina secondary against Joe Milton. And I say against Joe Milton, not against the Tennessee wide receivers, because quite frankly, I think the Tennessee wide receivers are watching that tape from last week and watching Will Rogers throw the ball all around the yard and saying, oh yeah, we can win outside. We can win outside, but are we going to get the football? That's going to be the big question. Joe Milton, now this is the ultimate statement game for him to be dialed in. Because if he's dialed in, we might see Tennessee of last year. We might see them score 50 points. We might see them put up ridiculous passing numbers. It's still built to run the football as this Tennessee offense, but I'm telling you, there's going to be big plays to be had. Tennessee has the receivers to win the matchups. If Joe Milton's not dialed in, though, things get kind of interesting. Because I happen to believe what we've seen from South Carolina offensively, I think that's real. I think what they did against Georgia is real. What they did against Mississippi State, that's real. And if Tennessee doesn't get it rolling offensively, I think South Carolina is going to have a pretty good opportunity to score some points. I don't think it'll be a situation where you can kind of just sit back for a quarter and a half. Defense will figure it out. You got to just eventually get your footing. Like, I think it'll be like ready, go, set kind of game for Tennessee with the kind of pressure South Carolina will apply offensively. Now, the other part of that, though, is South Carolina being able to beat the Tennessee pressure. And the matchup I have for this one is Spencer Rattler and Xavier Legette against this Tennessee pressure. Because we talked about it earlier in this breakdown, man. Like, South Carolina's offense, the offensive line at least, is very suspect, very questionable. They are giving up a sack rate of 13%. Y'all, 13% of the snaps, they are giving up a sack. How difficult must that be to be Spencer Rattler these days, man? He's playing some of his best football, and he's got like a Mississippi and a half count to be able to find an open receiver. Credit Dow Loggins for the way they've schemed it up for him the last couple of weeks and tried to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Tennessee, they're going to, one, attack Spencer Rattler because that's how the defense is built. Two, they're going to test that offensive line of South Carolina. Like, they're going to make sure they force the issue early and often. So the test then becomes, is Spencer Rattler able to, one, ID that pressure, two, know where he's going with the football right away, and three, this is crucial, can Xavier Legette win early? And when I say win early, can he win early enough in the play to where he's an option to catch it for Spencer Rattler? Because we've seen, if he gets the football in his hands, he's always a liability to take the distance. Like, he is always a home run threat for South Carolina. The trick, though, can he, again, win early, and can Spencer Rattler find a way to get it to him quickly enough before that Tennessee defensive line pressure gets there? they may not have to dial it up. It might just be, hey, we're rushing with 4. Good luck kind of thing for Tennessee and South Carolina. Like, that might be the way they get to Spencer Rattler. And if they get to Spencer Rattler, a couple of things become available to you if you're Tennessee. One, the obvious part is the likelihood for mistakes for the South Carolina offense goes way up. Like, we're probably seeing Spencer Rattler put the ball in jeopardy more. We're probably having more opportunities to create turnovers for Tennessee. Like, that's a big part. The other part of it, at the very least, if you get home, you force a 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20, 3rd and whatever. There's not many plays for 3rd and whatever in your playbook if you're an offense. Like, as good a coordinator as Dow Loggins is, as good a quarterback I think Spencer Rattler has played himself into, you don't have many remedies for that kind of situation. So at that point, Tennessee can play back a little bit more conservatively and then have, going back to what I said, the chance to create more turnovers and at the very least be able to get your offense back on the field and start to put pressure on the South Carolina side of things. So even with the emphasis on the quarterbacks in this game, because make no mistake, like, that is the way this game is going to go. As Joe Milton goes, as Spencer Rattler goes, this game will go. I think it may come down to the line of scrimmage. Like, this might be a game where the quarterbacks both put up big numbers and it's close going into the fourth quarter, and Tennessee gets the ball with, let's say, 4 minutes left to go. It may be on Tennessee, if they're up, let's say, 3 points at that point, to be able to run the football, ride the offensive line, which you hope you're healthy in this game. You hope you have all your guys in this game to be able to give your best effort on the offensive line and to be able to take the ear out of the game and take a knee and have that be the way the game finishes, not even give South Carolina another chance. For South Carolina, on the same side of things, like Mario Anderson, the way he ran the football last week gives you a lot of concern for balance within this offense. I'm not even looking for balance this week. I'm just looking for, can you find a way to be timely and put the game on ice when that opportunity presents itself? Because the thing you'd want to avoid is you got 3 minutes to go. It's South Carolina's ball, and you pick up 3 yards. Tennessee's able to just call a timeout, get the ball back, and that's how you end up losing the game. I think the timeliness of the offensive and defensive line play for both sides is going to be a deciding factor. Is it the headliner? Maybe not. But I think that is going to ultimately be what determines the outcome of this game, especially late. So I think Spencer Rattler, I think he does get his. Like, I think what we've seen from him has been very, very real. I don't think we see a Spencer Rattler fall-off game where he throws 3 picks and just kind of reverts back to Spencer Rattler of old. I think what we see is him go out and put pressure on this Tennessee defense. I also think this is the game where Joe Milton and Tennessee kind of put their foot in the ground and decide what they're going to be for the rest of the season. Because if there's ever a game where it feels personal, even if it's not personal from the outside looking in, it's personal, I think, for Tennessee and how that game went last year. And I think they respond in a very real way. I think Joe Milton silences a lot of critics in this game. And I just ultimately think there's more ways for Tennessee to win this football game. I think they have more on the offensive line. I think that defense is going to feel a little bit disrespected by what happened last year. And I think they answer the call to action. So I think it's high scoring. I think it does go into the fourth quarter. And I think Tennessee ends up finding a way to win inside of an electric Neyland Stadium. Just absolutely wild atmosphere. Final score, Vols 37, South Carolina 34. I think Josh Heupel and this team kind of get some momentum from this game and get things rolling. And this could kind of be the game for Tennessee where the light bulb comes on and we see them look how I think a lot of people talked about them looking going into the season. I want to talk to y'all a little bit about Roback. Because Roback is an operation that we have trusted here for a long time. Since the Hard Count's inception, really, since we were in Waco, Texas, we have been a Roback show. And I'm not talking about from a sponsorship standpoint. I just mean like this is a company that has rode with us for a long time in regards to sending gear and just supporting the show as a whole and having a relationship. So we love Roback, and here's the deal. Roback, I wear them all the time for a reason. Best polos on the market. If you need a polo to last you the entire day on a hot game day, a lot of y'all now, noon kicks coming up. My people going to this Florida-Kentucky game need a polo to last you the entirety of the day. Mark Stoops put out the call to action. Going to be a long day. The moisture wicking technology and 4-way stretch makes it easy to move while keeping you feeling fresh. Roback's everyday shorts are perfect pairing as well. They are comfortable, have an elastic waistband, great fabric that is made to stretch. Roback has also been proudly leading the new NIL charge, having signed partnerships with college stars Cade Klubnik, Kyle McCord, whose stock is going up, Nick Singleton, Jalen Milroe, and Audric Estime. They have all teamed up with the legendary coach, they have also teamed up with the legendary Coach O. Use the code JD on rhoback.com for a generous 20% off all new customers through the end of this week. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off on all performance polos, shorts, and more with code JD. Just in time for week 5 of the college football season. Make sure to check them out at rhoback.com. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.